All right, everyone ready for this? We're going deep on something pretty wild today, AI-generated art and copyright law. It's kind of like watching a Tesla race, a horse-drawn carriage, you know? Like old school versus the future.
Yeah, definitely a clash of the titans.
We're using a great article from gamesindustry.biz. They break down a U.S. Copyright Office report. Big question, can you own art made by AI?
And this is a big deal. This isn't just some theoretical debate for law professors. This impacts artists, developers, anyone using these AI tools.
Absolutely, it affects everyone.
The Copyright Office basically said, nope, no copyright for AI-generated art. It all comes down to human creativity. Or the lack of it, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that part was a shocker. I mean, DALL-E, Midjourney, they make art that looks human. So where's the line? The article talked about that monkey selfie case. Remember that? Monkey takes a selfie, but no copyright. What's the connection?
It's all about what U.S. copyright law protects. Human authorship. Not effort, but that spark of originality. Legally, that only comes from us. Like, the monkey might press the button, but it doesn't conceive the image. Same with AI, right?
Right. No artistic intent from the monkey.
Nah.
Or the AI.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say I use an AI art tool. Spend hours making the perfect prompt, really specific. Is that human creativity? Do I get copyright?
That's where it gets tricky. The Copyright Office says even with super detailed prompts, you're not the author. The AI is still interpreting, making choices. You're more like a director, not the artist.
Like giving instructions, not painting the picture. Got it. But that opens a can of worms, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine AI making masterpieces, but nobody can own them. What happens to the art market?
It's mind-blowing. Some say it'll hurt art. Others say it's like this new era of open source creativity, everyone sharing and remixing. The article makes you think about that, the impact.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Catley game. They were in the article.
Right.
Rumors they used AI art for their trailer. They denied it. Why?
Yeah.
Is there a stigma against AI art?
It's interesting. Maybe there's this fear that AI isn't real art, no soul. Or maybe it's about being honest. Do gamers want to know if it's algorithms or human?
Yeah, it's a tough question. And then what about artists themselves? We know technology disrupts things. If AI makes art that's as good as humans, or even better, what happens to artists' jobs?
It's a two-sided coin, right? Some artists are worried. They see AI as competition. Others are using it as a new tool to try new things,
Like when photography was invented.
Exactly.
Some painters probably thought that was it. Their career's over, others adapted.
Yeah. It's about adaptation.
So the U.S. Copyright Office says no to AI art copyright. What does that mean practically? For someone using these tools, do I need a lawyer?
Well, not necessarily. It's not that all AI art is illegal. It depends on how much the human is involved. If you're using AI as a tool but making the creative choices, you might still have copyright. But if the AI is doing everything, it's way more complicated.
So it's not the tool, it's how you use it.
Exactly.
But it's tricky. Where's the line? How much human input is enough?
That's the million-dollar question. And it gets even more complex because what if AI gets so good it makes truly unique things? Does our idea of human authorship even make sense anymore?
We might need a whole new legal system. This is why I love this stuff. It's not just about law. Technology makes us rethink what creativity even is. And speaking of examples, the Catley game denied using AI. Why?
It's fascinating, isn't it? They might have wanted to avoid any negativity about AI art. Like we were saying, some people aren't sure if it's real art, if it's really creative. Maybe denying it was to keep people happy, to tell their audience, hey, this is human-made.
Or maybe use a legal strategy. Like if they said they used AI, would that open them up to problems?
That's possible. It's also new, legally speaking. I can see why developers or artists wouldn't want to say they used AI. It's like walking through a jungle, no map. Who knows what you'll run into? We need some rules, some examples from the courts, so people know what they can and can't do.
It feels like we're waiting for that one big court case, the one that sets the rules. Until then, it's the Wild West.
So for the average person using AI art tools, what should we know? What's the advice?
First, remember, legally, it's still fuzzy. Don't think you automatically lose all rights just because you used an AI, but don't think that tweaking a few settings makes you the only creator. Keep track of everything you do, how you use the AI, the choices you make, all of it. If something happens legally, those records will be important.
Good advice. Cover your bases. But it's not just about the law, right? There's the ethical side. If I use an AI art tool, am I being honest about it? Am I giving credit?
Absolutely. Transparency is key. If you use AI, be open about it. Don't pretend it's all you.
Right. Honesty is the best policy.
And remember, AI is trained on huge amounts of data, and that data can have biases built in from society. So be aware that those biases might show up in the art.
This makes me think AI isn't just a tool. It's like it shows us ourselves, our creativity, our good and bad sides. It's like a mirror. And sometimes what we see might make us uncomfortable. Yeah, it can be challenging.
But that's the cool part, right? It makes us think, question things, change. So does human creativity need a new definition as AI gets better and better? That's something for our listeners to think about. But for now, let's get into some details. We've talked big picture, but what does the U.S. Copyright Office report actually say about human authorship? How do they define it?
Yeah, let's dive in. So the report, it really digs into this whole idea of authorship. Like, that's the magic ingredient for copyright. And they're really hammering home that it has to be a human calling the shots creatively. It's about that spark,
Yeah.
that originality that comes from a human mind. They actually go back and use a bunch of old court cases to show this, even from way back when photography was new.
Oh, wow. So they were dealing with this stuff even then. New tech messing with the idea of who the author is.
Exactly. Photography, that was huge. Suddenly, you didn't need to be a master painter to make realistic images. But even then, the courts were like, nope, the photographer is still the artist. They're the ones framing the shot, setting the lighting, capturing the moment. That's what gets you copyright.
Okay, so how does that apply to AI art? Is there any wiggle room? Like, what if I use AI as a tool, like my digital brush, to make my vision come to life?
Now, that's where the gray areas get interesting. And to be honest, I think it's going to be fascinating to see how the courts handle this stuff as these cases pop up. Because they will. The report seems to suggest that if you're using AI, but it's just to execute your ideas, you're not automatically out of luck with copyright. It's all about showing that you, the human artist, are the one driving the creative bus.
So it's less about the tool, more about who's using it and how.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense. But it also seems like, a lot of room for debate, right? Where's that line? How much human touch is enough?
You're hitting the nail on the head. And this is where things get really interesting because what if AI gets even smarter? What if it can make stuff that's truly one of a kind, never seen before? Does our definition of human authorship even work anymore? Do we need a whole new system for this AI-powered art world?
Ooh, those are the deep questions I love to talk about. It's not just law, it's about technology, forcing us to rethink what creativity even means. And hey, remember the Cat League game? We talked about how they denied using AI for their trailer. Why do you think they did that?
Right, right. Yeah, it could be they just wanted to avoid bad press. There's still that whole debate, right? Is AI art real art? Can it be creative like humans? Maybe they were trying to, calm people down, reassure them that the game's visuals were all human-made.
Or maybe, legally, they were playing it safe. Like, what if saying we used AI opens them up to lawsuits later? Could someone say, hey, I own those images because they came from an AI?
Oh, absolutely. That's possible.
Yeah.
It's all so new, legally speaking. You can understand why they might not want to admit to using AI.
Like stepping on thin ice. Who knows what'll happen?
Exactly. And that's why we need clearer rules, examples from the courts, so people know what they can and can't do.
It's like we're waiting for that one big case to come along and set everything straight. Until then, it's a free-for-all. So what about the average person who just likes using these AI art tools? What should we be thinking about?
Okay, so first things first, the law is still blurry. Don't assume that using AI means you have no rights to your work, but also don't think that tweaking a few prompts means you're the sole author.
Mhm.
Document everything. How you use the AI, what creative choices you make, everything. If any legal stuff comes up, you'll be glad you have those records.
Good advice, keep good notes.
Right.
But it's not just about legalities, right? It's also about doing the right thing. If I'm using AI art tools, am I being honest about it? Am I giving credit where credit's due?
You got it. Honesty is so important here. If you
Oh.
use AI, say so. Don't pretend you did it all by hand.
Right, be upfront.
And it's important to remember, AI learns from data, right? And that data can have all sorts of biases built in from society. So just be aware that those biases might show up in the art you're making. Think about how you're using it, interpreting it.
This whole thing makes me think AI isn't just a tool. It's like it shows us ourselves, our creativity, but also our biases, our good sides and bad sides. Like holding up a mirror.
It is. It's a reflection.
And sometimes what we see might not be pretty.
Yeah, it can be uncomfortable.
But that's kind of the beauty of it, right? Makes us think, question things, maybe even change. So will we need to redefine what human creativity even means as AI keeps evolving? That's a big question for our listeners. But okay, let's switch gears a bit. We've talked big picture, but what are some of the cool things AI art can do? How is it already changing the art world?
Ooh, yeah, let's get into that. It's easy to get caught up in the legal stuff, but we can't forget about the creative potential here. This is a tool that can make art accessible to, like, everyone, even if you don't have traditional art skills. It can help us see things in new ways, break through creative blocks, explore new territory.
Right, and we're seeing that already. Video games, movies, even personalized art pieces. AI is changing the game.
Yeah.
I'm curious, though, how are artists feeling about all this? Are they, like, excited to use AI, or do they see it as a threat?
It's a mix, honestly. Some artists are nervous. Yeah, they're worried about their jobs, about what makes art real, but a lot of them are excited about the possibilities. They see AI as this new way to be creative, to do things they couldn't do before.
It's like with any new tech. There's always that initial, whoa, what's going to happen? But then people start playing with it, figuring it out, and the fear turns into, like, curiosity and new ideas.
Mm,
Speaking of, I wonder, how will AI change how we experience art? Do you think it'll completely change our relationship with art, or is it just another tool in the toolbox?
that's a great question. I think it could be both. AI can definitely change how we interact with art, make it more personalized, immersive. Like imagine stepping inside a painting made by AI or having AI compose music based on how you're feeling in that moment. The possibilities are endless.
Wow, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's like AI blurring the lines between who's creating and who's experiencing, between the art and the experience itself. But this raises another point. What if AI makes art that's so personalized to our tastes? Does that make the art world more fragmented? Do we end up in these echo chambers of art we already like and lose that shared experience of art that challenges us, art that makes us think differently?
That's a valid point. We have to remember art has always been about connecting with other people, sharing emotions, challenging ourselves. As AI becomes a bigger part of the art world, we have to be careful not to lose that. We need to make sure art keeps bringing people together, not dividing them.
That's a really important point. So AI art has all this amazing potential, but we can't just rush in blindly. We need to be responsible, to remember that human element that makes art so powerful. And speaking of powerful, I think it's time for some final thoughts.
Definitely. We've covered a lot today. The legal stuff, the ethical stuff, and all the cool creative possibilities. But in the end, it comes down to us, right? How do we as humans navigate this new world? How do we use AI but stay true to what makes human creativity special?
Big questions, and ones we'll keep exploring as AI art keeps changing. But for now, we want to hear from you, our listeners. What are your thoughts on all this? Does it make you excited, worried, a bit of both?
Yeah, tell us. Share your thoughts. Let's keep talking about this because these aren't just questions about art. They're about the future of creativity itself, and that affects all of us.
Wow, we've covered some serious ground today, haven't we? Legal stuff, ethics, the big questions about creativity, this deep dive into AI art and copyright. It's been a wild ride.
It really has. And I think what keeps it so interesting is that it's not just about the tech or the law, it's about us. What does it mean to be human when the line between like creator and creation gets blurry?
That's what gets me thinking, yeah. If AI can make art that's as good as humans, or even better, do we have to change how we think about creativity? What does original even mean when a computer can crank out masterpieces?
Right. Those are the big questions. And honestly, I don't think there are easy answers, but it makes you think, right? About the different sides of creativity. Is it all about skill? Or is there something more, something, I don't know, human that AI just can't do, at least not yet?
And if that human element is what copyright is all about, like the U.S. Copyright Office says, how do we even measure that? Will we need new laws, new ways to figure out who the author is, when AI is doing so much of the creating?
That's the debate happening right now in courts and governments all over. And the choices they make, those will shape the future of art, tech, everything.
So let's bring it back to our listeners. What do you all think about this AI art and copyright thing? Exciting, scary, both.
We want to know. Hit us up on social media. Let's keep this conversation going because these aren't just questions about art. They're about the future of creativity. And that's something we all have a stake in.
Absolutely. And to wrap up today's deep dive, here's something for everyone to think about. If AI can make art, what does that mean for how we express ourselves? Will it be this awesome tool for collaborating, for pushing the limits? Or will it change what it even means to be an artist?
Those are the questions we'll keep wrestling with as AI art keeps getting better. But for now, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep creating.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into AI art and copyright. We'll see you next time.